You attacked human colonies? Congratulations, humanity just awakened the dragons. Part 1. The Awakening. The massive doors of the Galactic Council chamber parted with a deep, resonant hum. Admiral Eliana Torres took a steadying breath as she and Ambassador Darius Valdez crossed the threshold. The chamber was vast or impossibly sour, with curved walls stretching hundreds of meters upward into a dome that simulated the galaxy itself. Thousands of alien representatives occupied tiered seating, their murmurs creating a background hiss like distant ocean waves. "Remember," Valdez whispered, his weathered face betraying no emotion. "We're here to listen first. Earth may be new to the galactic stage, but we won't be intimidated." Torres nodded, her naval uniform crisp against her athletic frame, metals glinting under the chamber's ambient light. The central platform they were directed to felt exposed, deliberately so, she suspected. Humanity on display. High Counselor Thax, a towering being with crystalline features that caught and refracted light, rose from the uppermost tier. The chamber fell silent. "The Council recognizes the representatives of Earth." Thax's voice resonated without obvious amplification. "You stand accused of unprovoked aggression against the sovereign territories of the Volfid Empire, resulting in the deaths of millions. How do you respond?" Valdez stepped forward, his voice steady. "The United Earth government categorically denies these allegations. We have not authorized any military action against Volfid territories." Murmurs rippled through the chamber. The Volfid ambassador, an insectoid being with iridescent wings and compound eyes that seemed to capture every movement, buzzed forward. "Lies." The translator rendered the clicking sounds into a harsh accusation. "We have evidence." The central space between the platform and the council tiers shimmered as a holographic display materialized. Torres stiffened as the footage began playing while sleek warships bearing Earth insignia, firing upon civilian settlements. Explosions bloomed across peaceful Volfid cities, bodies tumbling through the vacuum of space. "Those are Horizon-class destroyers," Torres whispered, her eyes narrowing. "They were decommissioned 20 years ago." Valdez's expression remained neutral, but his eyes betrayed concern. "The ships shown in this footage were removed from service decades ago," Valdez said. "This is a fabrication, oh." "We have verified the quantum signatures," Thax interrupted. "These are Earth vessels. Even now they continue their aggression." The Volfid ambassador's wings vibrated with indignation. "3 more colonies attacked just yesterday." Torres stepped forward. "With respect, High Counselor, Earth is the victim here. Our outer colonies have suffered mysterious attacks for months. Attacks we now believe were conducted by the same forces using our decommissioned vessels." The chamber erupted in outrage. Species Torres couldn't identify gesticulated with appendages of all descriptions. "Silence," Thax commanded, and the room quieted instantly. "Ambassador Valdez, Admiral Torres, the evidence against Earth is substantial. This council is prepared to authorize immediate sanctions and, if necessary, military intervention." Torres's wristcom suddenly pulsed with an urgent red light. Her face drained of color as she read the message. "Ambassador," she said quietly. "Neptune base has gone dark. Total destruction." Gasps echoed across the chamber. The Volfid ambassador's wings fluttered in barely concealed satisfaction. "Your lies cannot save you now," the Volfid said. "The great Volfid empire will not rest until Earth is reduced to ash." Torres straightened, something dangerous flashing in her eyes. "You attacked Neptune base?" "A preemptive defensive measure," the Volfid ambassador replied smugly. "Your research facility was clearly developing weapons." Torres turned to Valdez, voice low but intense. "Sir, with Neptune gone, we have no choice. Dragon Protocol is now active." Valdez paled. "Admiral, are you certain?" "Once awakened, they killed 15,000 civilians, sir. Scientists, families." Torres addressed the council directly. "High Counselor, distinguished representatives, I must inform this body that as of this moment, Earth has activated its ultimate defense protocol." The chamber fell silent. "What defense protocol?" Thax asked. Torres tapped her wristcom. A new hologram appeared. Earth, with 7 points of light beginning to glow deep beneath the oceans. "For centuries, humanity has maintained a contingency against extinction-level threats," she said. "We call it the Dragon Protocol." The hologram showed massive structures awakening in Earth's oceans, each kilometers long, shaped vaguely like ancient dragons from human mythology. You should know that humans don't build weapons of war. Torres continued. We create guardians. Torres stood at the viewport of the diplomatic vessel, watching stars streak by as they headed back to Earth. The emergency council session had adjourned in chaos, with most representatives scrambling to contact their homeworlds after the Dragon Protocol announcement. Do you think they believed us? Valdez asked, joining her at the window. It doesn't matter, Torres replied. They'll see soon enough, her wrist comm chimed. Admiral, we're receiving transmission from Dragon Prime. It's online. Torres closed her eyes briefly. Route it to my private channel. She moved to a secure communication booth. The screen flickered, revealing a face that seemed both human and nada. The features familiar yet subtly altered, eyes glowing with an inner light that no natural human possessed. Admiral Marcus Cole reporting for duty. The figure said. Dragon Prime is fully operational. Torres felt a chill. Cole had been dead for over a century, yet here he was or rather, the digitized consciousness that contained his memories, personality, and military genius. Admiral Cole, she acknowledged. Neptune base has been destroyed. We believe the Vulfids are responsible, though there may be manipulation at play. Cole nodded, his movements fluid but somehow too precise. All 7 dragons are awakening, Admiral. The others will be online within hours. The Council knows you exist now, Torres said. I had no choice but to invoke the protocol. You made the correct decision, Cole replied. We were created for this moment. Dragon vessels are deploying to defensive positions throughout Earth-controlled space. Torres hesitated. Sir, there's something else. The Vulfids claim we attacked them first using decommissioned Earth ships. Cole's expression hardened. Someone wants a war between Earth and the Vulfids. We'll find out who. The transmission ended and Torres returned to Valdez. It's done, she said. The dragons are awake. Beneath the Mariana Trench, in a facility unknown to all but the highest levels of Earth government, massive chambers illuminated one by one. Inside each, a colossal form stirred a part machine, part biological construct designed to house the greatest minds humanity had ever produced. Dragon Prime. Admiral Marcus Cole's vessel was already rising through the ocean depths, its metallic scales absorbed and redistributed pressure, its serpentine body over 3 kilometers long. As water gave way to air, gravity seemed to lose its hold. The Dragon vessel rose into Earth's atmosphere without engines, propelled by technologies developed in secret over centuries. 6 more followed, as each unique, each housing a consciousness that had once belonged to a human who had agreed to this strange immortality in service of Earth. In orbit, monitoring satellites tracked their ascent. My God, whispered a technician at Earth Defense Command. They're beautiful. General Rivera watched the screens with a mixture of awe and apprehension. Send word to all Earth forces. Operation Dragon's Breath is in effect. All military vessels are to stand down and provide support only. The Dragons have command now. The first reports from outlying systems came within hours. Dragon vessels had appeared near Jupiter's moons, then Saturn, then beyond, moving at speeds that defied conventional physics. In the Vulfid home system, the arrival of Dragon Prime caused immediate panic. Its massive form materialized near the outer defense perimeter, hovering motionless, a silent message that needed no translation. Inside the vessel, Admiral Cole's consciousness expanded through systems beyond human comprehension. He could sense the Vulfid communications, their frantic military responses, their fear. This is Admiral Marcus Cole of Earth, he broadcast on all frequencies. The attack on Neptune base constitutes an act of war against humanity. However, we seek truth before retribution. Your empire has been manipulated. We have detected quantum signatures not of Vulfid origin controlling your supposedly autonomous defense systems. He paused, letting his sensors probe deeper into the Vulfid networks. Someone wants us to destroy each other. I propose instead that we identify our true enemy. On Earth, Torres received Cole's transmission with relief. War might still be averted, but as she prepared to brief Earth's leaders, another alert flashed across her screen. Multiple unidentified vessels had appeared near Mars. They matched no known configuration but emitted energy signatures similar to those detected during the attack on Neptune base. The Dragons had awakened just in time. On the edge of the solar system, Dragon vessels converged, their forms silhouetted against the stars. ancient guardians of humanity, facing an unknown threat that had finally revealed itself. The real war was about to begin. You attacked human colonies? Congratulations, humanity just awakened the Dragons Part 2. Ancient Guardians, the grand gallery of the Galactic Council headquarters hummed with nervous energy. Hundreds of diplomatic representatives crowded around massive view screens displaying the destruction of Neptune Research Base. The footage played on a continuous loopa, the research station erupting into fragments, bodies and equipment tumbling into the void, all from multiple angles. Ambassador Darius Valdez stood apart from the crowd, his face impassive despite the hollowness in his chest. 15,000 lives, families, children. A scaled reptilian diplomat approached, eyes blinking vertically. Your Admiral Torres speaks of dragons? The translator struggles with this concept. It should, Valdez replied. We've kept them secret for centuries. The reptilian diplomat's scales shifted color slightly. The Vulfids believe they've struck a decisive blow against your species. They celebrate prematurely. Yes, Valdez said simply. They do. Across the gallery, the Vulfid ambassador stood surrounded by allies, gesticulating with sharp, precise movements. His wings vibrated with what Valdez recognized as excitement. Valdez's communicator chimed. Excuse me, he said to the reptilian diplomat moving to a quiet alcove. Admiral Torres's face appeared on the small screen. It's happening, she said without preamble. All 7 dragons are active, and our guest arriving at the trench facility now. The council needs to see this, Darius. Valdez nodded. I'll arrange it. Be careful, Eliana. The communication ended. Valdez straightened his formal attire and approached the council's protocol officer, a being composed primarily of light contained within a translucent exoskeleton. Earth requests an emergency session, Valdez said. We have evidence to present. Deep beneath Earth's Pacific Ocean, the Mariana Trench facility had transformed from dormant to fully operational. Areas that had been dark for decades now blazed with light, systems humming with power as technicians monitored the deployed dragon vessels. Admiral Torres stood in the central command chamber, watching data streams from all 7 dragons flow across massive screens. The room fell silent as the elevator doors opened, admitting a tall, slender figure in elaborate diplomatic robes. Ambassador Kethalar, Torres said, extending her hand in the human greeting. Thank you for agreeing to this. The Vulfid diplomat's compound eyes reflected the room's lights in kaleidoscopic patterns. His mandibles clicked softly, a sign of distress Torres had learned. I risk much coming here, Kethalar said, his translator rendering the clicks and vibrations into smooth, accented English. If my government discovers my presence, they've been compromised, Torres said flatly. You know this. Kethalar's wings twitched. I suspected. The military actions against your colonies. They were not approved through normal channels. Our diplomatic corps received no notification until after the attacks. Torres gestured toward the screens. Ambassador, I'm going to show you something few non-humans have ever seen. She typed a command and a secure door at the far end of the chamber slid open. A figure entered a human in general form, but with subtle differences. The skin had a slight metallic sheen, and the eyes glowed with an inner blue light. Admiral Marcus Cole, Torres introduced, or rather his consciousness. His physical body died 120 years ago. Kethalar took an involuntary step back, antennae quivering. What is this? The original, Cole said, his voice rich and resonant. Each dragon vessel contains a human consciousness or volunteers who agreed to continue serving Earth after death. I am both here in this approximation of my original form, and simultaneously present in Dragon Prime, currently patrolling your home system. Impossible, Kethalar whispered. Ambassador, Torres said gently, your government is being manipulated. We believe an ancient race is using the Vulfids and humans as pawns. We call them the Void Architects. Dragon vessels have detected quantum signatures embedded in your defense networks, Cole added. Technology far beyond either of our civilizations. Torres brought up a new display, a star map showing positions of all 7 dragon vessels. We didn't create the dragons as weapons, Ambassador. They're guardians, humanity's greatest minds preserved to protect not just Earth but life itself. Kethalar's posture changed as understanding dawned. The rumors. For centuries there have been stories of massive entities appearing during extinction-level events throughout the galaxy. saving civilizations on the brink of annihilation. We dismissed them as myths. Not myths, Cole said. Early deployments when the technology was still being perfected. We intervene only when necessary, then return to sleep. A technician interrupted, her voice tense. Admiral, we're detecting dimensional anomalies near Jupiter's moons. Dragon 3 reports unknown vessels emerging. Show me, Torres commanded. The main screen shifted to a live feed from Dragon 3 Arouse, a massive vessel with a more avian appearance than Cole's serpentine form. Near Jupiter's moon Europa, space itself seemed to tear, the fabric of reality splitting to reveal ships of impossible geometry emerging from the rift. The Void Architects, Cole said grimly. They've decided to reveal themselves. In the Galactic Council chamber, Ambassador Valdez stood at the central podium. The earlier chaos had given way to a tense silence as representatives from 1,000 worlds watched the feed from Jupiter. Distinguished members of the Council, Valdez said, his voice steady. What you are witnessing is an incursion by a species we call the Void Architects. They have manipulated both humans and Vulfids, orchestrating a conflict to weaken both our civilizations. The Vulfid ambassador buzzed angrily. More human lies! These are clearly Earth vessels with some form of cloaking technology. High Counselor Thax raised a crystalline hand for silence. Ambassador Valdez, these claims are extraordinary. What evidence do you offer beyond these disturbing images? Valdez nodded to a technician. The holographic display shifted to show a Vulfid military command center. Ambassador Kethalar stood beside Admiral Torres. Addressing the camera, Honored Council, Kethalar began, his translator rendering his clicks into the standard galactic language. I speak as Second Minister of Vulfid Diplomatic Services. I have reviewed Earth's evidence and can confirm our defense systems were compromised. The attacks attributed to our empire were executed without proper authorization. Gasps and murmurs filled the chamber. The Vulfid ambassador's wings vibrated in what might have been shock or rage. The entities emerging near Jupiter, Kethalar continued, match quantum signatures found embedded in our defense networks. We have been used as weapons against humanity, just as human decommissioned vessels were used against us. The feed switched back to Jupiter, where the situation had escalated dramatically. The emerging Void Architect vessels wore angular, non-Euclidean shapes that hurt the eye to follow. Were firing upon Dragon 3. The Dragon vessel's response was immediate and devastating. It moved with impossible grace for something so large, energy weapons lancing from multiple points along its form. The dragons, Valdez explained, are humanity's guardians. They contain the preserved consciousness of our greatest minds and warriors, volunteering to continue their service even after death. High Counselor Thax leaned forward. You transfer your consciousness into machines? Not exactly, Valdez replied. The process is more complex. The dragons are biomechanical constructs, partially grown rather than built. The consciousness transfer is voluntary. The chamber erupted in discussion, various species reacting according to their cultural perspectives on death, consciousness, and technological intervention. Thax raised his hands for silence again. Ambassador Valdez, what do you request of this council? Recognition of the true threat, Valdez said firmly. The Void Architects have been manipulating species throughout the galaxy for millennia. Earth's intelligence suggests they harvest advanced civilizations for resources and energy. They've kept their existence hidden by turning potential allies against each other. On the display, more rifts were opening throughout the Jupiter system. Dragon vessels 2 and 4 had arrived to support 3, their massive forms engaging the Void Architect ships. We request a temporary alliance, Valdez continued. Earth, the Vulfid Empire, and any council races willing to join. Together with the dragons, we can end this threat. The Vulfid ambassador had fallen silent, his compound eyes fixed on the battle unfolding in Jupiter's orbit. High Counselor Thax conferred briefly with the other senior council members. This council has existed for 50,000 years, Thax said finally. In that time, civilizations have risen and fallen, some through natural causes, others through war. We have long suspected an outside influence in certain extinction events. Thax turned to address the full chamber. The council will convene an emergency defense committee. All races with military capacity are requested to prepare contingencies. Ambassador Valdez, we require direct communication with your dragons. Valdez nodded. Admiral Cole has agreed to address the council directly. The holographic display shifted once more. Admiral Marcus Cole appeared, both his humanoid proxy on Earth and in a smaller window, his dragon form moving through space near Jupiter. You attacked human colonies. Congratulations, humanity just awakened the dragons. Part 3. The counterattack. The Galactic Council war room had not been used in over 3,000 years. Dust covers had been hastily removed from ancient tactical displays, revealing technology that somehow managed to look both archaic and advanced beyond human comprehension. Representatives from 17 major spacefaring civilizations crowded around the central holo table, watching the battles unfolding across the solar system. Admiral Torres stood with her back straight, aware of the suspicious glances from several alien delegates. Earth was the newcomer here, barely a century into interstellar travel, yet suddenly at the center of a galactic crisis. The dragons have engaged Void Architect forces near Saturn, she reported, manipulating the display to show the massive battle. Dragon vessels 2 and 4 Auror, designated Wisdom and Courage in Earth's classified files, moved with impossible grace for their size, energy weapons blazing from multiple points along their biomechanical forms. The Volfid military attaching. General Zetvak clicked his mandibles in what Torres had learned was appreciation. Your dragons fight well, but the enemy continues to bring reinforcements through the dimensional rifts. High Counselor Thax's crystalline form seemed to dim slightly, a sign of concern. We have reports of similar rifts opening near 14 major worlds. The Void Architects are launching a coordinated attack across the galaxy. The holotable updated, showing new conflict zones spreading across Council space. Torres felt a chill. This was more than they had anticipated. Admiral Cole is requesting to address the War Council, a human technician announced. Torres nodded. Put him through. The central display shifted, showing Admiral Cole's humanoid avatar. Despite being a construct, his face showed signs of strain on the consciousness inside experiencing the battle through his dragon vessel. The situation has escalated, Cole said without preamble. My vessel has detected a pattern in the rift formations. They're not random. The Void Architects are creating a geometric pattern across this galactic sector you can net. A net for what purpose? Asked a Meridian representative, their gelatinous form pulsing with bioluminescent concern. To harvest, Cole replied grimly. Dragon Prime has accessed their communication network. The Void Architects consider advanced civilizations to be resources, our consciousness and technology, to be absorbed and repurposed. Torres stepped forward. Admiral Cole has discovered their primary base of operations. It's located beneath the surface of a moon in Volfid territory. General Zetvak's compound eyes widened. Impossible. We would have detected it. It exists in a partial dimensional state, Cole interrupted. Visible in our reality only under specific conditions. The base has been there for thousands of years, influencing Volfid development, using your species as unwitting agents. The war room erupted in debate, various representatives arguing about jurisdiction, strategy, and the credibility of this information. Torres caught Thax watching her, the counselor's crystalline features unreadable. Admiral Torres, Thax said, silencing the room. Your dragons, can they seal these dimensional rifts? Yes, Torres replied. But not alone. They need support from conventional forces to engage the Void Architect vessels while they work to close the rifts. Thax turned to address the assembled representatives. We face an existential threat to all sentient life in this galaxy. The Council formally requests military assistance from all member worlds. One by one, the representatives signaled their assent. Even the Volfid general, after a moment's hesitation, clicked his agreement. General Zetvak, Torres said, will need access to the moon where the Void Architects have their base. The Volfid's antennae twitched, but he nodded. You shall have it, human. If these creatures have been manipulating my people, they will answer for it. Cole's avatar nodded. I'm transmitting battle plans to all allied forces. The dragons will coordinate the counterattack. Our first objective is to secure the Jupiter and Saturn sectors, then move to protect key Council worlds before launching the main assault on the Void Architect base. As the War Council began detailed planning, Torres moved to a quiet corner, studying data from Earth Defense Command. Reports were flooding in from colonies and outposts throughout human space. The Void Architects were targeting human settlements with particular ferocity. They fear the dragons, came a voice beside her. Torres turned to find High Counselor Thax, his crystalline form somehow managing to approach silently. Yes, Torres agreed. The dragons represent a direct threat to their plans. Thax's features shifted, refracting light differently, the equivalent of a contemplative expression. How long has Earth possessed this technology? The Dragon program began almost 300 years ago, Torres replied carefully. The first successful consciousness transfer occurred 240 years ago, before you achieved interstellar travel, Thax noted. Curious priorities, Torres met his gaze. Humanity has a long history of conflict, Counselor. We learned early to prepare for the worst while hoping for the best. Indeed. Thax seemed to study her. The Council has monitored Earth for centuries, Admiral. We observed your world wars, your nuclear standoffs. Many argued that humans were too violent, too unpredictable to join galactic society. And yet here we are, Torres said. Here you are, Thax agreed. With guardians unlike anything the Council has encountered in 50,000 years of existence. Some might wonder why a species would develop such defenses, unless they anticipated a specific threat. Before Torres could respond, alarms blared throughout the war room. The holotable display shifted to show Earth's orbital defense platforms engaging void, architect vessels that had appeared without warning. They've opened a rift near Earth. Torres moved quickly back to the command station. Admiral Cole, are you seeing this? Cole's avatar nodded grimly. Dragon 7 is diverting to Earth defense. The other vessels are proceeding with the counterattack as planned. Torres watched as Dragon 7 arose. Compassion in the classified files arose appeared near Earth orbit, its massive form immediately engaging the Void Architect ships. Unlike the Serpentine Dragon Prime or the Avian Dragons 2 and 4, 7 had a more mythological appearance, its form reminiscent of ancient Chinese dragons from Earth's history. All Council forces in proximity to Earth. Render assistance, Thax commanded. As Allied ships moved to support Earth's defenses, Torres received a private communication from Dragon 7. The avatar that appeared wasn't Admiral Cole, but Dr. Eliza Reyes, Earth's most brilliant physicist of the previous century, now housed within Dragon 7. Admiral, Reyes said, her digitized features showing concern. I've analyzed the dimensional rift near Earth. It's different from the others. More stable, more precisely formed. This isn't just an attack. They're searching for something. The Dragon facility, Torres realized. They're looking for where you were created. Precisely, Reyes confirmed. If they access our technology, they could adapt it to their harvest processes. Instead of simply destroying civilizations, they could preserve and repurpose consciousness on a massive scale. Torres turned to address the War Council. The attack on Earth is targeted. The Void Architects are seeking the technology behind the dragons. Thax's crystalline form seemed to darken. If these beings could combine their dimensional technology with your consciousness preservation methods, they could become truly immortal, Torres finished. Harvesting consciousness across multiple dimensions. General Zetvak stepped forward. Then we must ensure they fail. The Volfid fleet will assist in Earth's defense. Torres nodded gratefully. And we'll proceed with the assault on their base in your territory. On the holotable, the battle near Earth intensified as Allied forces engaged the Void Architect vessels. Dragon 7 moved with lethal precision, its weapons targeting the ships nearest to the dimensional rift. Meanwhile, across the solar system, the counterattack continued. Dragon Prime had already reached the edge of Volfid space, moving toward the moon, hiding the Void Architect base. Dragons 2 through 6 were coordinating with Council forces to secure critical systems and close the spreading rifts. Cole's avatar addressed the War Council again. We've identified a pattern in the rift formations. The Void Architects are creating a geometric structure spanning multiple star system, a kind of dimensional net. He manipulated the holotable to display a complex, three-dimensional pattern connecting the rifts. If completed, this structure could potentially engulf hundreds of inhabited worlds in a mass harvesting event. The Council representatives stared in horror at the display. How do we stop it? Thax asked. We've identified 3 key junction points, Cole replied. If we collapse these specific rifts, the entire structure should destabilize. Torres studied the display. 1 near Earth, 1 in the Volfid system, and 1 near the Council homeworld. Precisely, Cole confirmed. I've assigned dragons to each location. The Allied fleets need to provide cover while the Dragons work to collapse the rifts. As the War Council finalized the battle plans, Torres received another private communication, this time from Dragon Prime. "Admiral," Cole said, his avatar showing signs of strain. "I've reached the Volfid moon. The base is impressive. It exists partially out of phase with our reality. Can you breach it? You attacked human colonies? Congratulations, humanity just awakened the Dragon Part 4, the Revelation." The observation deck of the Galactic Council headquarters offered a panoramic view of the stars. Admiral Torres stood alone, watching distant flashes of light that signified battles raging across multiple systems. 3 days had passed since the Dragons had awakened. 3 days of constant warfare against an enemy that existed partially beyond conventional reality. "Admiral." The voice startled her from her thoughts. Ambassador Valdez approached, looking exhausted but determined. "The Council is reconvening. They've received Admiral Cole's transmission from the Void Architect base." Torres nodded, composing herself. "Have you seen it?" "Yes." Valdez's expression was grim. "It changes everything, Eliana." Together they walked through the gleaming corridors of the Council headquarters. Representatives from dozens of worlds hurried past, many nodding respectfully to Torres, a stark change from the suspicion she had faced just days earlier. The council chamber was packed to capacity. High Counselor Thax stood at the center, his crystalline form catching and refracting the ambient light. Beside him, General Zetvak represented the Volfid Empire, his compound eyes scanning the assembled representatives. "Admiral Torres," Thax acknowledged as she took her position at the speaking platform. "We are prepared to receive Admiral Cole's report." Torres activated the holographic display. The image that formed showed Admiral Kolar, not his humanoid avatar, but his consciousness as integrated with Dragon Prime. The result was disorienting. A human face projected across the biomechanical structure of the massive dragon vessel, features flowing across scales and neural pathways. "Honored Council," Cole began, his voice resonating with multiple harmonics. "Dragon Prime has breached the Void Architect base beneath the surface of Volfid Moon Tertius. What we've discovered confirms our worst fears and offers a path forward." The display shifted to show the interior of the base, impossible architecture that seemed to fold in upon itself. Corridors that defied Euclidean geometry. Cole's dragon form moved through these spaces, sensors capturing details that made several council representatives turn away in discomfort. "The Void Architects are not a species in the conventional sense," Cole continued. "They are a collective consciousness spread across multiple dimensions. Their physical forms are temporary constructs designed for specific tasks." The display showed translucent, vaguely humanoid figures moving through the base hour Void Architects in their native environment. "Their purpose is consumption," Cole said. "They harvest advanced civilizations for their technological achievements and, more importantly, for the energy generated by conscious minds. The Volfids and humans were being prepared as their next harvest." General Zetvak's mandibles clicked in agitation. "How long have they been manipulating my people?" "At least 3,000 years, Cole replied. "They operate on extended timescales, gradually guiding civilizations toward development paths that make harvesting more efficient." "And humans?" Thax inquired. Cole's massive form shifted within the base corridors. "Earth was targeted approximately 500 years ago. The Void Architects attempted to manipulate our development but encountered resistance." Torres stepped forward. "This is where we must be completely transparent with the Council. The Dragon program didn't begin as a defense initiative. It began as a response to inexplicable phenomena occurring across Earth era. Phenomena we now recognize as Void Architect manipulation attempts." The chamber fell silent as Torres continued. "Certain human minds proved resistant to their influence. These individuals reported dreams and visions of cosmic threats. Many were dismissed as eccentric or mentally unstable, but a pattern emerged. Earth's greatest scientists, artists, and military strategists shared these experiences. The first dragons," Cole added, "were not weapons or guardians. They were shelters Aurora designed to preserve these resistant minds. Only later did we discover that our consciousness, when transferred into the biomechanical dragon vessels, could actively counter Void Architect influence." The display shifted again, showing schematics of a dragon vessel's internal structure. Part machine, part grown biological material, housing a neural network modeled on human consciousness but expanded exponentially. Each dragon embodies a specific human virtue, Cole explained. This was discovered accidentally but proved essential to our functionality. Dragon Prime represents strategy. The others embody wisdom, courage, innovation, justice, resilience, and compassion. These abstractions have functional purpose? Asked a Meridian representative, their gelatinous form pulsing with curiosity. They provide focus and stability to the transferred consciousness, Torres explained. The human mind, when freed from biological constraints and expanded within a dragon vessel, requires an anchor brûleur, a core concept around which to organize its vastly increased processing capacity. Murmurs spread through the chamber as representatives discussed this revelation among themselves. Torres could sense the shifting attitudes from seeing the dragons as simply advanced weapons to recognizing them as something far more profound. There's more, Cole said, his voice drawing attention back to the display. I've located the harvested consciousnesses within the base. The image showed a vast chamber filled with crystalline structures, each containing a swirling light pattern. Thousands of minds, Cole continued, preserved from civilizations the void architects have already harvested. Some are centuries old, others millennia. They are kept in a state of constant awareness, their emotional and intellectual energy siphoned to power void architect technology. Gasps echoed through the chamber. Even Thax's crystalline form seemed to dim in horror. Can they be freed? General Zetvak asked, his usually harsh voice subdued. Yes, Cole replied, but not in their original forms. Their physical bodies are long gone. However, the dragon technology offers an alternative. Torres understood immediately. You're suggesting we transfer them into new vessels? Precisely, Cole confirmed. Dragon vessels could be constructed to house these recovered consciousnesses. They could be given new purpose, new life. The council chamber erupted in debate. The ethical, political, and practical implications were enormous. High Counselor Thax raised his hands for silence. This decision goes beyond council authority. Each member world must determine their position on consciousness transfer technology. There's no time for debate, Torres insisted. The Void Architects are still attacking across multiple systems. 2 of the 3 junction rifts have been collapsed, but the 3rd remains. Without these recovered consciousnesses, we may not have the knowledge or power to seal the final rift. Cole's massive dragon form moved closer to the crystalline prison. These minds have experienced Void Architect captivity firsthand. They understand the dimensional mathematics involved better than we ever could. Thax conferred briefly with senior council members. We will authorize the recovery of these consciousnesses on an emergency basis. Their final disposition can be determined after the crisis has passed. Thank you, Counselor, Cole said. Dragon Prime is beginning the extraction process. The display showed Cole's dragon form connecting to the crystalline structures, energy fields forming between them. One by one, the swirling light patterns within the crystals were drawn into containment fields generated by the dragon vessel. There's something else you should know, Cole added, his voice taking on an unusually personal tone. Admiral Torres, I've identified a specific consciousness among those harvested. The quantum signature is unmistakable. Torres felt a chill. Who is it? Admiral Elizabeth Torres, your grandmother. Torres staggered slightly, gripping the edge of the platform for support. That's impossible. My grandmother died in the Mars colony disaster 30 years ago. The disaster was a Void Architect harvesting operation, Cole explained gently. They didn't kill the colonists, they took them. Elizabeth Torres was specifically targeted because of her connection to you, Admiral. The Void Architects recognized the threat your family line posed to their plans. The council chamber had gone completely silent. Torres felt every eye upon her but could barely process the information. My grandmother is alive? Her consciousness is intact, Cole confirmed. And based on preliminary communication, her mind is uncompromised. She's been fighting them from within for 3 decades, Admiral. She never stopped resisting. Torres turned to Thax, her voice steady despite the emotion threatening to overwhelm her. Counselor, I formally request permission to join Admiral Cole at the Void Architect base. If my grandmother has been resisting their influence all this time, she may hold crucial information about their weaknesses. Thax's crystalline features shifted in what Torres had learned was sympathy. Permission granted, Admiral. The Council will provide a vessel for immediate transport. As the session concluded, Torres found herself surrounded by representatives offering support and condolences. The revelation had transformed the political dynamics completely. What had been suspicion of humanity's motives had become respect for their sacrifice. You attacked human colonies? Congratulations, humanity just awakened the Dragons Part 5. Humanity's Legacy. The Void Architect dimensional rift pulsed with unnatural light, its edges shifting between states of matter and energy. Around it, a massive battle raged our council ships. Volfid defenders and Earth vessels engaged with the final wave of Void Architect constructs emerging from the tear in reality. Admiral Eliana Torres stood on the bridge of the Council flagship, watching tactical displays with High Counselor Thax and General Exet. Buck. The three leaders had developed an unlikely camaraderie over the past week of constant warfare. The final junction point is the most stable, Torres explained, highlighting the rift on the tactical display. The other 7 dragons have collapsed the supporting rifts across the galaxy, but this one resists conventional methods. Thax's crystalline form seemed to pulse with concern. Without closing this rift, the Void Architects will eventually rebuild their network. We must end this now, General Zetvak agreed, his mandibles clicking decisively. Torres nodded, turning to a communication officer. Status of Dragon 8? Final calibrations complete, Admiral. Dragon 8 is ready for deployment. Torres took a deep breath. Open a channel. The main view screen activated, showing the interior of Earth's Mariana Trench facility. There, a new dragon vessel waited different from the others, its form incorporating elements of all 7 previous designs yet with its own distinct identity. Where the others reflected Earth's mythological interpretations of dragons, this one seemed to transcend cultural specificity, embodying a more universal concept. Dragon 8. This is Admiral Torres. Deployment authorization. Hope Ascendant. The figure that appeared on the screen bore the face of Elizabeth Torres, Eliana's grandmother, rescued from 30 years of Void Architect captivity. Her consciousness, along with hundreds of others recovered from the Void Architect base, had been integrated into the newest dragon vessel. Authorization confirmed, Elizabeth replied, her voice resonating with harmonics similar to Admiral Cole's. Dragon 8 row designation. HOPO initiating deployment sequence. The screen split to show the massive chamber beneath the ocean floor opening. Water held back by energy fields as the newest dragon vessel rose. Unlike the others, Dragon 8 seemed to shimmer between states, its form incorporating technologies gleaned from the recovered consciousnesses. All allied vessels. This is Admiral Torres, she announced on the fleet-wide channel. Fall back to defensive positions. Dragon 8 is inbound to the final rift. Provide covering fire but maintain safe distance. As the allied ships acknowledged and began repositioning, Thax turned to Torres. Your grandmother, he said quietly. She volunteered for this? All the recovered consciousnesses did, Torres replied. They understand the Void Architects better than anyone. They've experienced their captivity, their methods. Dragon 8 contains the combined knowledge of civilizations spanning thousands of years. And the risk? General Zetvak asked, his compound eyes fixed on the tactical display. Torres hesitated. Significant. The plan requires Dragon 8 to enter the rift itself. To collapse it from within, we don't know if they'll be able to return. Thax's crystalline hand rested briefly on Torres's shoulder, a gesture she recognized as one of respect among his people. Your family has given much to this battle, Admiral. As has yours. General. Torres nodded to Zetvak. The Volfid defense of the Council homeworld saved billions of lives. Before the general could respond, the tactical officer called out, Dragon 8 has arrived at the engagement zone. The view screen shifted to show Dragon 8 emerging from faster-than-light travel near the final rift. The massive biomechanical construct dwarfed even the largest Council battleships. Its form seemed to ripple with energy as it moved directly toward the dimensional tear. All vessels, maximum suppressing fire on Void Architect ships. Torres ordered. Clear a path for Dragon 8. The Allied fleet responded immediately, concentrating their attacks on the Void Architect constructs attempting to intercept Dragon 8. The newest dragon didn't engage directly, instead maintaining course toward the rift, its systems visibly charging with energy. Dragon 8 to Allied command. Elizabeth's voice came through clearly despite interference from the rift. We're ready to begin the closure sequence. The mathematics are elegant. The Void architects built their network on principles of consciousness energy. We'll use the same principles against them. Torres leaned forward. Grandmother, is there any chance of extraction after collapse? A pause. A small one, Elizabeth replied, her voice gentle. But that's not important now. The 8 dragons were always meant to work together like this. Strategy, wisdom, courage, innovation, justice, resilience, compassion, and now hope. Together, we complete the circuit. On the tactical display, the other 7 dragons appeared at equidistant points around the rift, having disengaged from battles elsewhere. The Void architects harvested consciousness as a resource, Elizabeth continued. They never understood its true nature, its ability to transform, to transcend. What they took as prisoners, we've reclaimed as allies. Dragon 8 reached the edge of the rift, energy fields extending to connect with the other 7 dragons, forming a geometric pattern that mirrored the Void architect's network, but inverted. Beginning collapse sequence, Elizabeth announced. All vessels maintain safe distance. The 8 dragons began pulsing in synchronization, energy flowing between them in patterns of increasing complexity. The rift's edges began to fluctuate more violently, its unnatural light flaring. It's working, the tactical officer reported. The rift is destabilizing at a quantum level. From within the rift, massive Void architect ships began to emerge, larger than any seen before. Their impossible geometry stretching the boundaries of perception. They're trying to stabilize it from within, Torres realized. All fleet vessels, target those ships. The Allied fleet responded, but the Void architect vessels seemed resistant to conventional weapons. They moved toward Dragon 8, energy weapons charging. We need more time, Elizabeth communicated. The collapse sequence requires precise calibration. Admiral Cole's voice joined the channel from Dragon Prime. Adjusting formation, Dragons 1 through 7 will engage the emerging ships directly. The 7 original dragons broke their positions, moving to intercept the Void architect vessels. The battle that followed defied conventional physics. Dragons shifting between states matching the Void architect's dimensional abilities. Remarkable, Thax murmured. They're fighting across multiple dimensional planes simultaneously. On the main view screen, Dragon 8 continued its work, now unprotected as it manipulated the fabric of the rift. Energy pulses from within the tear struck the massive vessel repeatedly, but it maintained position. Collapse sequence at 70%, Elizabeth reported, her voice strained. The rift is beginning to fold in upon itself. Torres watched as the impossible battle continued. Dragon Prime engaged the largest Void architect vessel, the 2 massive constructs grappling at the very edge of reality. Dragons 2 through 7 coordinated their attacks on the remaining ships with precision that spoke of centuries of combined military experience. Sequence at 90%, Elizabeth updated. Admiral Torres, Eliana, it's been an honor to serve with you, granddaughter. Torres swallowed hard. The honor is mine, Admiral Torres. Sequence complete. Initiating final collapse. Dragon 8 surged forward, directly into the heart of the rift. The dimensional tear began to contract rapidly, energy cascading inward. The Void architect vessels still within the rift were pulled back, unable to escape the gravitational forces. All dragons, clear the collapse radius, Cole ordered. Dragons 1 through 7 disengaged, moving away from the rapidly shrinking rift. Dragon 8 remained at the center, its form beginning to distort as space itself folded around it. Dragon 8 to Allied Command, Elizabeth's voice came through, breaking up with interference. The rift will collapse completely in 30 seconds. The resulting energy release will be substantial. Torres gripped the edge of the tactical console. Grandmother, I know, dear. Tell your mother I'm proud of her. And you? You've exceeded all my hopes. A pause. Remember, the dragons are not weapons. We're guardians. Make sure the galaxy understands that. I promise, Torres whispered. 10 seconds to collapse, Elizabeth reported. It's beautiful from here, Eliana. I can see everything. The rift contracted to a single point of brilliant light, then expanded in a silent flash that overwhelmed the view screen. When the display cleared, the rift was gone. Where it had been, only stars remained. Dragon 8, Torres called. Grandmother, do you read? Silence answered her. High Counselor Thax placed a hand on her shoulder. Admiral, sensors detect no trace of the rift or Dragon 8. The sacrifice was Complete. Torres nodded, composing herself. Status of the other dragons? All reporting in, the tactical officer replied. Minor damage but fully operational. And Void Architect presence? Sensors show no remaining ships or rifts in this sector. Similar reports coming in from across Council space. Torres turned to Thax and Zetvak. Then it's over. We've won, and 1 month later,